Good evening. It's April Davis with April Davis Creations. I am an independent demonstrator in Spring Hill, Kansas, and this is Tuesday night, October 31st. It's Halloween, but I'm not sharing Halloween with you tonight. I'm going to celebrate with you Christmas, the start of the holidays and the fun of the holiday. I'm going to try every Monday or Tuesday night. It just depends upon the schedule, but I want to spotlight a solo card. So this will become a regular thing where I just do a solo spotlight and share one card with you. And tonight I'm going to share a card with you out of the Beary Christmas Suite collection. It's in the mini catalog on pages 22. I create my classes well in advance, or my cards well in advance. So right now I can tell you, as part of this suite, unfortunately, my bear punch is not available. Never fear, I wouldn't have done this class if I'd have thought it was going to be a problem. I've been watching our inventory status, and this bear punch is supposed to be back on November the 6th. So we're only talking 6 days out, but I can go ahead and share the class with you, share the card with you, if you will. And then if it is something that you're interested in, or maybe you already have it, but if it is something you're interested in, you can get it on the 6th. In addition to that, we've got the Very Cute stamp set. And it is very cute. But you've got your little polar bear, some Christmas trees, some Christmas sentiments, some packages, some snowflakes. So we're going to make a really simple card tonight. And then you'll find in my next 3 to-go classes that I do on Facebook Live on Thursday night, I will also be featuring this very cute set, but with very different cards, no pun intended. So anyway, let's go ahead and let me share with you the card that we're going to create tonight. As I shared, it's a very simple card, but so fun to make. Sometimes you just want to be able to sit down and put a card together, and you want it to just be easy peasy, and that's what this card is. So I'm going to get into it in just a second, but I wanted to share with you what we're actually going to be working with, and that is the Beary Christmas Designer Series paper that we're going to be utilizing. It's right here in the catalog, and I actually brought it up just so that you could see some of it. I'm not going to take it all out tonight because you're going to get to see plenty of it as we go forward in the to-go classes. But I did want to share with you, in case you weren't aware, all of our cardstock comes with a cardboard insert. And if you look at the cardboard insert, it will actually tell you what colors Stampin' Up! Has that coordinate with this set, with this Designer Series paper. So for example, Balmy Blue, Crumb Cake, Crushed Curry, Flirty Flamingo, Lemon Lolly, Misty Moonlight, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Old Olive, Pecan Pie, Real Red, and Very Vanilla. A lot of colors coordinate with this paper. And in fact, you can also look in the catalog and it will give you a list of colors that coordinate as well. Not as many of them, but they're all coordinating colors, which makes preparing your card so easy. So tonight, let me move this stuff out of the way. I'll tell you how I selected the colors that I'm going to be utilizing. And part of that is from the recommended colors that Stampin' Up! Provides. So for this card tonight, we're going to be using the Misty Moonlight ink, and we're going to be using the Real Red ink. So we'll get to that in just a second. Additionally, I'm using Basic White for my cardstock. I'm also using Basic White for my insert, and we'll get to the insert as soon as we get the rest of our card done. But then I'm using Designer Series paper. So for my cardstock is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. Then I've got a piece of Designer Series paper cut to 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. I have a second piece of Designer Series paper cut at 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then last but not least, I have a piece of Basic White cardstock cut 3 by 3. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start to put together the actual card, and then we'll get to the stamping. So again, I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to fold it in half. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue this first designer series paper piece to the right hand side of the card base. So let me get my glue on here. We don't need a lot. And I'm just going to line up all the edges. It should match up perfectly. So we'll get it all lined up. Okay, so that's the first piece. And then we have the second piece of designer series paper. I'm going to do the same. Got our glue. I'm going to butt that end up to this end, line it up, and place it down. So I'm going to set this off to the side for just a second, and we're going to start stamping. And so I will bring my pierce pad in. I stamp on it because this is a photopolymer stamp set. And I'm going to pull out the first sentiment. Which is Christmas is better together. And I'm just going to show you, whenever I do this, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll line up my sentiment on my grid paper. If you've got something that you can line it up, I just lined it up on my grid paper. And then what I can do is I can take my block and center it over my stamp, and I accidentally picked it up before I was ready. We were close, it was probably fine, but I wanted to do that again. Get it down, line it up, and then this makes it easier for me when I'm actually stamping on a piece of paper or my cardstock, getting it lined up appropriately. So this particular sentiment, we're going to stamp in the Misty Moonlight. So let me open this up. And again, you've heard me many times, tap, tap, tap. It's really important to do the tapping versus the rocking. Because when you rock, you risk getting it on the edges of your stamp, and you also risk getting it on the edges of your block. And when you do that, then you risk getting it onto your cardstock or on your fingers or whatever. So just was testing out to make sure everything was good. Now I've got this. I'm going to try to center it in my paper or my cardstock as best I can. I think I'll come down just a little bit. And I'm going to stamp it right here. Just going to give it a chance to connect. And then I can pull it up. And I don't know what happened. It looks kind of weird. It looked like my S popped off of the S. So let's just turn it over. The good news is there is 2 sides to every piece of cardstock. So I'm going to do this again. I'm not quite sure what happened, but let's go ahead and do this again. Maybe I touched it and didn't realize that I touched it. So I'm not going to go down and stamp until I'm ready to go down and stamp. I'm going to go down and stamp. Make sure I get a good connection, and then I'm going to pull up, and it looks much better. I don't know, maybe I touched it a little bit before, but you know, I've been stamping for years and years, and I still have little faux pas when I'm stamping. So I'm not too embarrassed when it happens in front of you, because if I do it, then you should feel fairly comfortable doing it too. Plus, hopefully what I'm able to do is give you some alternatives as to how to fix that. So now that we've got this stamped, the next step is we're going to go ahead and cut it out. So I know it looks like it's cut out, but I cut it specifically so that we could, let me see if I can get this right, so that we could utilize this die that has little dots. I want to call them stitches, but they're not really stitches. They're kind of big for stitches, or not big for stitches, they're too round for stitches. But this is from our Stylus Shapes dies. I'm going to bring this in so you can see it. I use this, and you've probably noticed, I use this all the time. You've got your squares, you've got your circles, you've got your banners, and this is a staple. I pull this out all the time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this piece of cardstock through this Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Put down the base plate, the cutting plate, and then I will align this on my cardstock. I've left very little room, so it should be very easy to align. I just want to make sure it's on my plate. So let's go ahead and get this on there, and then I'll just set this in very gently and crank it through. All right, let's set this off to the side. Pop this out. Very, very tiny border now. If I wanted to save it for something, I could. I'm going to set it off to the side. And now I have my sentiment. So before I put my sentiment down, I'm going to bring in the ribbon that I chose to utilize. This is our silver and white ribbon. It's a white ribbon with a silver trim. It's very sheer, so pretty. So we're going to utilize this on this tag that's going to go on our card. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie a bow. So let me get out enough ribbon that I can tie a bow. Wrap it around. And then I'm not going to cut it off. Typically, I'm able to tie my bows without cutting it off, and then that way I'm not wasting too much of my ribbon. I'm going to shorten this just a little bit. Wrapping. And then it may not be placed exactly where I want it to go, but I'm not worried about that because I can always move it. My intent right now is just to get this bow tied. So go ahead and wrap it. There's my bow. Let's make it the size that I want it. That looks good to me. I'm going to put it off to the side. I guess I could keep it in the center, but I'm going to move it just a little bit. So I'm going to bend my cardstock just a little bit so that I can move my bow. And then I will take the snips that I designate strictly for cutting ribbon, and I've got a ribbon on it so that I don't forget which one's which. And I'll just go ahead and snip off the ends, hence called snips. I'm snipping off the ends. And now I have my bow. Let me see. I kept that one a little long. Let me snip off just a little bit more of it. There we go. Move this off to the side. And then I'm going to place it on my card with dimensionals. So let me pull out the dimensionals. Got a new pack here. Put one in each of the four corners going over the ribbon. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of extra support by putting on each of the sides, and then I'm going to put one in the middle just because I don't like middle sag. So we'll do that. Make sure they're adhered. And then I'm going to pull the dimensionals off. At least the backs of the dimensionals. So I've got one more. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it to the left side, down a little bit to my card. So let's see if that's where I want it to go. That looks good because I don't want to cover up my bears. My bears are so cute. So for all practical purposes, this is your card. You've just completed your card. How easy was that? But gosh, we have an inside and I want to do something with the inside. And I didn't do anything with the inside on the other one. So I'm kind of winging it right now. But I know what I want. I want one of our polar bears. So I went ahead and pulled one of the polar bears out. And I need to pull out my, I'm going to pull out my tuxedo black. Here we go, tuxedo black. We're gonna stamp the bear in tuxedo black. And I'm gonna stamp it down in the lower corner of the cardstock. So I'm gonna get a good coating, and I'm just gonna test it out to make sure I'm happy with it. It looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and ink that up again. I feel like I might need to ink my ink pad up again. So I got ink here, and then I'm gonna go to this lower corner of my cardstock, and I'm gonna stamp my bear. Very good. Let me clean this off. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I think for this sentiment, we're going to use real red, and we're going to use warm wishes. So again, I'll do like I did before. I'm going to grab one of my blocks. Let's see, I'll grab this one, and I'm going to move my other sentiment off. And I'm going to line this up like I normally do, just so that I know I get it straight on the block, because I line my block up with my lines as well. So the top of my block typically is lined up with the grids, so I have a nice straight line. So now I'm going to bring in the real red, and we're going to go ahead and stamp the warm wishes, but we're not done. After this, I've got another little thing that we're going to do. So let's get warm wishes first. So let's test that. That looks really good. So I'm going to come up here in the center of my card, and I'm going to, let's see, that looks good. So we're going to just do warm wishes right here. Okay, so we've got warm wishes. Now, I have a little scarf that comes in the stamp set, and it ties into the front of our card because our bears are wearing scarves and sweaters. So let's go ahead and give our bear inside here a scarf, and I'm just going to practice on the one that I had my practice stamp with. Ah, so cute. So let's go ahead and stamp that. There we go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bit of dimension to this bear. And the way that I do that, you don't have to do this, it's just kind of a fun thing to do, is I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends. This is one of our alcohol markers. I'm using the Light Pool Party, and I'm going to use the nub end of this. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your bear, let me pull it off of this foam mat. You're going to take your bear, and you're just going to kind of highlight the edges of it. You're going to go around the outside. So I'm going around the outside of this bear. Kind of gives it a little bit of a glow, just a little bit of dimension so it stands out. You can do the whole bear, you can do parts of the bear. I'm going to go ahead and do most of it. And then, let me see, he's got a little ear I can do it to. I can actually add it to his little, and it just adds a little bit of dimension to it. This is a white bear, and you just get a little bit more dimension to your bear. So I just took that really light Pool Party marker and just went around the edges. And can you see? It just adds a little bit to it. So now we've got our inside. How fun. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue. Go ahead and get this glued down. Center it on the inside, right about here. My glue. There we go. And look at this cute card. Open it up. Here's our bear. Christmas is better together. Warm wishes. How fun. So this is the start of our Beary Christmas series. This is my first solo card to just introduce this new series. Again, I just want to reiterate the fact that right now the punch is not available, but it will be. I've been watching very closely. It is available on November the 6th. So because of that, I decided to go ahead and start showing you these fun cards that I created. So join me this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. That's November 2nd. And I can show you 3 more cards in this series. It's going to be so fun. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye, everyone.